This podcast is a member of WildGamesProductions.com and D20Radio.com.
Welcome to the All Initiative Podcast, the only Advanced Dungeons & Dragons First Edition podcast.
The Roll for Initiative Podcast, Volume Number 3, Issue Number 104. DM Vince sitting alongside DM Will.
Hey!
And DM Nick. Nick?
Hey, everybody. Yes.
There's Nick. Nick, you were silent for a moment. I guess you failed your awake roll or something.
Sorry.
And DM Matt is absent this week. He's repairing his car, actually. Poor Matt.
Hey!
Yes?
Did y'all watch Happy Days?
Yeah.
Isn't that what that Fonzie guy says? Hey!
No, that was a...
Just making sure I wasn't trying to say anything different. Yeah.
Okay.
No, you're fine.
He holds his thumb up too, don't he?
Yeah, it holds his 2 thumbs up. Hey.
Oh, that's right, 2 thumbs up. Oh, whatever it is. Okay, I was just trying to be,
It's cool. It's cool.
Anyway, so let's get into some general things what's been going on. Will, what have you been doing in gaming? And I know you were building your shelves and everything. That was mostly taking a lot of your time.
Oh, yeah. Finally got those done and everything. And now what I'm doing is I'm going through boxes and boxes, and I'm just finding more stuff every day. I got so many miniatures, and I just realized now that I'm not going to have enough miniature cases, so I'm just waiting for my friend to give me his other 2 miniature cases, so I start packing those up. But besides that, I've been buying board games galore. There have been really, I'm not a huge fan of Kickstarter. Kickstarter does have some good points, but it has a lot of negative points as well, too. There have been some awesome board games released through Kickstarter lately, and I have to mention them. One of them is an older game called Alien Frontiers. Really good game, and that was a Kickstarter one. And the latest one we picked up was Zombicide. I didn't get it while it was a Kickstarter project, but I got it in the gaming store because I believe in supporting the gaming stores because they're an extinct species these days, or soon to be. They're dying out. So I bought it, and I found Zombicide to be an excellent game for 6 players. It's actually very fun, has a lot of playability and versatility. So, again, kudos to those people from the Kickstarter side of the house and making sure this board game got out there. It's really good.
Cool.
I mean, and one thing I liked about it the most, it comes with like 71 zombie miniatures, plastic miniatures.
Oh, yeah.
You have walkers, runners, and fatties. Walkers, runners, fatties, and an abomination. There's only one abomination. Yeah, it's really, really good. And this, really got into a lot of board games. The Marvel Legendary card building, deck building game, excellent.
Okay.
Very, very excellent.
Cool.
And I'm back to painting because I have to get this project done by spring of next year. Paizo contacted me. I'm going to be running stuff there at their convention next year. And I don't know what else. What else I've been doing? Well, that's enough for me.
Okay. Now, you said your collection came up to a total of almost 10,000 pounds, right?
Yes, because you see what happened is when I was in the military, 23 long years until I retired, I was going on a lot of deployments. So I could send, while I'm in deployment and when I'm in different foreign countries, I'm picking up all this fantasy stuff and everything. I would send it home to my mom to ensure it goes to the house in Alabama. Well, I got all the stuff down there that I need to pick up and everything, so I got to start making room for it because we never account for that weight. Plus, I still have like 60-plus boxes in storage. I just didn't have the room. Now with these bookshelves, everything's starting to come out now.
That's nice. And do you have room for all these books that you have?
Well, the thing is, it's not just books, and this is the thing that I try and get people, they look at the books. You got a lot of books, but they're not seeing the other stuff. For example, what else did I collect over the years? Pirates, the collectible ship game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Thousands of those ships.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I love that game. This game's so fun.
Awesome. Now, let's talk about, like, miniature-wise. I have lots of miniatures, and I mean tons of them.
Literally tons.
Yeah, literally.
I have so many miniatures, and, I posted a picture of all the Battletech minis that I had at that current. That was just what I was using on my weekends to play my Battletech game. I haven't pulled out the other ones, which are still in the blisters inside the one box. Well, there's a couple boxes actually. I have tons of D&D minis still in boxes. I mean, I have so much, and they're all in the closet. The closets are full. I got 3 rooms full of gaming stuff that I'm slowly pulling out of boxes and putting them where they need to go.
Wow.
It just gets larger and larger. And then again, last week I went to Half Price Books, spent $250. Some guy, you're going to go crazy over this. This guy dropped his entire collection of Middle-earth role-playing supplement stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which was almost 40-something books.
Man.
Which included the Rollmaster stuff and the companion and all that stuff. And this is the old MERP stuff. If people know MERP.
Yeah, MERP.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
Every bit of it. Bought every bit of it. Every bit. Because it was only $8 a book. And you know what? Only a fool wouldn't buy it. I bought that stuff up. So I'm always buying extra stuff. And if I see extra things I want, I buy them. If I see extra player handbooks or D&D books, I buy them. If I see modules, I buy them. I buy stuff every week.
You're going to end up on a hoarder's show, man.
Yeah, but like a D&D hoarder show.
What my friend is that I can walk around this house. There is no trail to the bedroom or to the bathroom or to the kitchen.
Oh, thank goodness. I was going to get worried. I'm waiting for your floorboards to start busting in the house.
Well, should I remind you that one of the rooms is already doggone cracked? No, I'm just joking. No, I'm good.
Alrighty. So, Nick, what have you been up to?
Let's see. Last night we had the one game for my daughter Anna and her friends. So Temple of Elemental Evil. They finally got to the temple last night. So it was really cool. The session before that, though, I kind of sprung a surprise on them. If anybody familiar with the adventure, in Hamlet, there are some agents of the temple in the village of Hamlet, one of them being an assassin, another one a thief.
Yeah,
I kind of sprung them on them, and a few people almost got killed there, but someone actually had to burn a spell out of a spell book to save their skins. Yeah.
Ow, 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 ow.
But it was well worth it. So they captured a few of them, interrogated them, got some more information about the temple, went to Nulb, met all the people that they needed to meet there in Nulb, and then went on to the temple. They took the turn where I hoped they wouldn't take a turn, where there's the one area where there's 18 zero-level men-at-arms, plus a few leaders. I'm like, oh, man, this is not going to end pretty. But somebody had sleep spell memorized, and since they're zero-level nobodies, it was John who he rolled for it, and out of the 18, he got 14 of them out cold. So saved the party's skin, but they're having a really good time. And next week will be my other gaming group's week, so that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that. Normally we don't have a game in December with my other group because everybody's busy doing stuff, but we're actually able to pull it off this year, so looking forward to that.
Cool. Anyway, so my group, the first edition face-to-face group, actually took a little hiatus until January 5th because the DM was going to be out of town. So I took it upon myself to introduce the group of new players of old school to Moldvay D&D.
Oh.
Yeah, so we cracked open the Red Book, and they were very confused at first. They're like, an elf is a class? Well, because these are new people to the game as far as, and some of them were later edition players, so they were just they were like, cool, an elf, I could be a fighter / magic user, and I don't have to worry about not wearing armor or anything, So they all picked their classes. We had 2 dwarves, and we had a cleric, and we had an elf. And they went and they were exploring this cave where the bugbears were going to try to take over and use for their base camp, so they could start raiding the town with a bunch of orcs with pig faces, just for Will.
There you go, Will.
Of course, yes, pigs with orc faces, awesome.
So they spent time. So they spent time in there killing that, and then they wound up going into town where there was they were investigating some type of plague inside the town, where they wound up causing a bit of chaos with the magic shop owner, and one of them wound up getting arrested, and then they found out there was a conspiracy in town, and the town guards were involved with the plague, and they had to figure out what was going on. So overall, it was a fun adventure, and I let them have a little leeway, so they had fun. One of the people in the group was chaotic, so he was causing a bunch of trouble with the rest of the group, so a lot of fun.
First, I was thinking that you're going to say something like a conspiracy, like the Illuminati or the Bilderberger Group and their, black helicopters and stuff like that, but not that kind of conspiracy, huh?
No, not that deep of a level.
Okay, that would start freaking people out then.
Yeah, nothing Mayan related or anything like that. Anyway, so that's that. Reprints are good. We went and announced our contest winner, and Will should have sent those prizes out by now. I'm sure, right, Will? Or did you step away, Will? I think he stepped away. Anyway, so let's head over to the next.
No, I didn't. Wait, I'm right here. I was commenting, and I was saying Are you still there?
Yeah, we're still here.
Okay, I know. I sent them off. Everything's sent off.
Okay, good. Okay, I didn't hear you. I thought maybe you had stepped away because I heard a bunch of noise. All right, so Nick, you're going to head over to the stars, and as we always say, we read all our reviews, not all the time, but we try to go back and resurface and read ones that are very critical or very, very happy. So this week,
yes,
we've got a very critical one, so let's read it.
Yes, and just let everybody know that you can look for us on iTunes, and you could rate us. Just a little by the by, we have 142 ratings, and most of them are positive, but we do get some not so positive reviews, and we do read them all when we can.
Yeah.
So
we don't dedicate every week to reading them because a lot of people said, we don't care about every happy review. And
we don't get a whole lot of them in.
Yeah,
so.
and it's understandable. You can't every week hear the same thing. You guys are great. We only read the ones that are someone takes a lot of time to post something or to really bash.
Yes, thought-provoking ones as well.
Yeah, so go ahead, Nick. Here's the platform.
Sure. This is by Quid Hala. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And it's starts with doldrums. It's a 3-star review. And Quid Hala says, I loved the show at first. It got me very excited about trying out first edition. I started listening and suddenly the reprints were out. I was very enthused. But now, I really miss Jason, who had a personality that was fun and lively. Something different than the other guys who are very run-of-the-mill nerd stock. Matt certainly fills this role. He isn't entirely beholden to the prejudices and preferences like the grognards. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. He adds to ideas rather than immediately poo-poo them. Maybe it's a simple case of familiarity breeding contempt. I look forward to anyone talking on the show other than Vince and Nick. Vince is like a wet blanket on the whole show, but he does make the trains run on time. His harping on other editions might be considered playful if it wasn't so relentless. Nick just makes me sad. When Vince turns against an idea, Nick quickly changes tack to match him, even if Nick seemed to agree with the idea at first. There is a guy like Nick in every nerd clan who is the butt of every joke. He never seems to care because he wants to be liked so badly. His ideas never have the same weight as the other nerds at the table. I've thought of a kind of a game where I would go through all the shows and count up all the malapropisms and did I pronounce that correctly? Malapropisms? Did I, guys? And mispronunciations he makes in every show. What's the deal with attributes rather than attributes, or however he wants to pronounce it?
Attributes.
Attributes. Yeah. I say attributes. He says attributes.
It all depends on the region you were born in. That's
right.
All.
He says, where I come in from one is a verb, the other one's a noun. Is this a regional thing or just Nick? We'll get back to him on that, right, guys?
Yeah, sure.
Another thing, stop with the sharing time in every episode when didn't do anything that week, which is true most of the time. I don't care to hear Nick and Vince complain that their plans fell through or their schedules are hard to plan around. If you have something interesting to chime in, Otherwise, shut up and move forward. At this point, I really don't get ideas from this show anymore. I listen for entertainment like I listen to Bill O'Reilly just to get my blood up and yell at him, mainly Vince.
Okay, so
all right.
I'll respond first.
I will speak last.
Well, okay, that's fine. While we don't know who this person is, obviously, you can tell there's some flaws in his review because he's been a long-time listener, because he speaks about how Jason's so wonderful. And while Jason is a wonderful person, he wasn't on the cast at the time when the reprints were being announced or around, so that's one of his flaws. So it's a long-time listener who has bashed us before, or made up what do they call it, a sock puppet account, Nick?
Yes.
Sock puppet account. It's very easy to do that on iTunes, and I can make up 4 accounts right now while I'm speaking to you and give us 5-star reviews too, but that's not right. Anyway, apparently this person is not smart enough, I'll say, to look at the show notes and see the time codes to fast forward, or not smart enough to use the enhanced feed to hit next chapter. Because it's very simple. As we've always said, from show 1 to show now, if you don't like a segment, just fast forward. Apparently they don't know how to do that because they're just too stupid. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And I'm going to leave it at that. They're too stupid. And I'm glad that you think that, because now, each time you listen to the show, I'm going to emphasize these things even more just for you. Nick, go ahead.
Well, where to begin? At first, reading this review, it did make my blood boil. Not for the simple fact that it was a bad review. It really isn't a review at all. It was more of a character assassination attempt on Vince and myself.
Yeah.
It's that being said, let me clarify. It's more of a critical attack on us rather than a constructive review of the show and how we could do things better. If there's a problem with you, how I say attributes or attributes, no, it's not just a regional thing or me. No, it's you because you're a fool.
And if we do sound bitter and petty about this, that's because we're just giving the person the same thing back that they were giving us.
Exactly, because I view this as this way. If they took enough time and enough effort to go on iTunes and write not a scathing review, but an attack on those who do this show, and
free.
By the way, we have a show, and Quinn Hara, you don't.
It's probably too.
We're actually contributing to the role-playing community while you're not. We're doing something constructive, and you're not.
Yeah, I don't consider it being constructive sitting at home picking your nose and writing reviews.
Right. So, and it's not, and I'm fine with when it's a review. If we're doing something wrong, inappropriate, if there's some ways we can do things better, fine. We'll try to do those things. But when it's things when he says, Nick just makes me sad, and there's a guy like Nick in every nerd clan who has the butt of every joke and seems to not care what he wants to be like, whatever he said, that's a personal attack on that person. That is not, well, how would I say? That's not constructive criticism.
No.
Not at all. And then he goes on to talk about how, when we complain about when we don't have enough time to do things during the week like that. Well, you know what? We have lives. We do this. This is Vince, Will, and myself. We do this for free. We try to do as much as we can with the time that we have. I have a family. Vince he's married, and Will has his life that he leads, what he does. And, we try to find the best time that we can with the time that we have.
And there was never any complaining about it. All we did was say, we were busy with this and that, and we couldn't game this week.
Right. Does that eat up a whole lot of time in the show, guys?
No. It's just a matter of, and
then there's that fast forward thing. He could just fast forward over it.
Yeah, because Matt puts in every show notes the exact time code
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I know. I guess you can't read or too stupid.
I guess not.
I'm going to go
That's
too
amazing.
stupid.
And then we also see, which really got me, it's like this person actually revealed his hand on his political slant when he did the whole Bill O'Reilly make my blood up boil whatever thingy. Well, that's okay. That just shows how you view us and how you view the world. And I've already seen other reviews that you've made and what other people that you love on iTunes, like that guy Bill Moyers. Oh, he's so great.
Yeah. Oh, Bill O'Reilly, he's awesome. Double thumbs up.
Yeah, there you go. So
I watch him daily, and I'm going to keep watching him.
Love the guy. Yeah, have a shrine to him in my house.
Mm-hmm.
So, other words.
Yes, that's Roll for Intelligence podcast. Remember? Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Fast forward.
The Fox News podcast.
Yeah. That's all I got to say about that.
And Will, you wanted to speak upon this as well?
Well, I mean, I think pretty much y'all covered it, and it's kind of funny that I wasn't mentioned. Now, that could mean one of two things: either he was listening to podcasts where I wasn't on there yet, or he just denies, or he refuses to acknowledge my presence on the show, which is fine. They have that, that prerogative to do so and everything. And, when I first came upon the show and everything, I know that Vince received, some text and emails from people saying, why are you putting Will on the show? He's burnt bridges in the community. Give me a break. Give me a break. Give me a break. And this is the stuff that's the problem. This is the problem I have with the gaming community when I read these kind of remarks. These are inflammatory remarks. There is no constructive criticism. All you're doing is attributing.
There you go.
Attributing stereotypes to people and just dogging them out. And I find that extremely doggone childish.
Yeah, because I'm such a loser, I guess.
This is the mentality of the people that hang out at certain elitist sites.
Yeah.
I'm seeing this now. This is the same type of mentality, and it's totally disgusting because when it comes down to it, we attribute to the gaming community as a whole. However, these elitist sites take away from that. They hurt the cause. These elitist sites and that mentality are the reasons people don't even want to deal with gaming as a whole, because they don't like that. And this is what I see right here. Here you are making fun of someone because they say words different. I butcher the English language, but that's because of my dialect, where I come from and everything. I have a southern accent. I know that. There's nothing I can do about that. If you got a problem, blame everybody in the South. Go to that region and blow it up or something and get rid of that accent forever. That's just the way it is.
See, I know what I'm going to do now for the rest of the show. I'm going to talk like the rest of the show, like Morgan Freeman, because everything he says sounds smart.
But
what do you think of that?
Well,
knock it off.
I just don't understand. I have no problem with critical comments. If you want to dog me out, dog me out. But dog me out and then, provide that constructive criticism to make me a better person. Don't, accuse and attack people and try to lower them and destroy them or whatever you plan on, whatever the intent is of this review was here, and then just leave it at that. No. Totally childish. If I knew where you lived at, I knew your real name and your address, I seen your little jack in the box.
Send him a jack in a box.
Yeah.
Because he's a jack
there
wagon.
all day and just play that. Bing! And just sit there in a corner and do that for the rest of your natural life. But that's the only punishment I could figure that'd be good.
I would send a recording of mispronounced words to him every single day.
Well, he doesn't need that, because remember, he's going to go back and piece all together for fun all the things you said wrong. So.
Oh, okay.
Well, I didn't like the thing about, every nerd clan.
Yeah. I didn't like that either.
Yeah, and then use the term grognard. Okay, I started gaming in 1974. I was 4 years old. Okay, I don't consider myself a grognard. I don't attribute any of those words to me. But I have phenomenal attributes, and I'm kind, and I do care about people, so I can change the words attributes and attribute and everything and all that stuff and everything.
Yes,
but
he uses those words like his prejudice and preferences, like the grognards.
I mean, like, really?
Yeah.
Dude, grow up.
I know. He's just, because he's so above us, because
And so
there's the guy like Nick in every nerd clan who's the butt of every joke. I'm so above these people.
Yeah. All right. Well,
fit
anyway.
enough to lick my character sheet.
Jeez, Nick. Anyway, so basically, you're just too stupid. So we're not going to spend any more time on it. Let's head over to some sage advice.
Sage advice.
Okay, sage advice this week. We have a voicemail this week by an intelligent listener. So we'll listen to that right now. Here we go.
Hello, RFI casters. This is DM Kojo. I'm just calling in with a request for a creature feature theater. Specifically, a creature that I've never seen used in a published module. I'm sure they're probably out there, but not in any of the modules I've read. And doesn't really get a lot of use is the Spectre. Talked a lot about undead and everything I know, but the Spectre seems to be an underused undead or creature in general. And I'd really like to hear your takes on the Spectre. I think it could be a very interesting either big bad evil guy for a low-level party or, maybe just an encounter in an adventure for a higher-level party. But I think with their powers and abilities and things that they can do, I think a very interesting but yet underused monster. So I'd like to hear your take on the Spectre in a future feature theater. Thank you very much. Have a good job.
Well, all right. Thank you, DM Kojo, for calling in. And you can call in 570-865-4210, the hotline. And I'd like to say DM Kojo often calls in and he gives us some critique, some well-thought-out answers, and some questions. And if he ever does have some criticism, he always backs it up with ways to improve, and we appreciate that.
And you know what's so funny, since you bring up DM Kojo, I like the guy because the guy is highly intelligent. Like I said, he always provides constructive criticism. But again, we had one of those superficial entities out there. We already know who that person was, who dogged him out because he provided so much positive reinforcement to the show, to the forums, and to the gaming community as a whole. And someone took that and perverted it and dogged him out forever. And I'll tell you something. See, that's the sadness that I despise. So with that said, DM Kojo, keep doing what you're doing because you're doing it right.
Yeah, I
love you, man.
That's why, Will, when you were at the convention, you said maybe 20-something episodes ago, you said how you spoke to people and they had no idea there was an online community or a podcast because none of these people go online.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the funny part because I went to GameStorm, and that was about a year ago, and it was really funny because a guy heard my voice, and he came over there and said, "Are you DM Will?" And I said, "As a matter of fact, I am." And so the conversation came down, and it's funny because they heard my voice and said, "You do sound familiar." But a lot of people, when I was down there with the first edition players down there, none of them knew about the RFI podcast. None of them even maintained a presence online. They don't even go online. They don't go to forums. They don't do nothing. And I see that a lot with the majority gamers that I personally I understand people now. I talk to a lot of gamers out there. I go to a lot of gaming conventions. I meet a lot of people. I'm on panels, and it's shocking that a lot of people don't know about the podcast or that there is an online old school gaming forum presence.
Yeah. Well, there is some good ones and there's some bad ones, so whatever. Anyway, let's go on to our first email. Oh, let's answer our Kojo. Yeah, Kojo's question.
We got to talk about DM Kojo. DM Kojo, I don't know what modules you're not reading, but I can tell you there's a couple out there with Spectres in there.
Yeah, I was kind of racking my brain on that too, and I'm thinking, there has to be one. Why am I thinking Descent to the Depths of the Earth, there's a Spectre in it?
Well, there are Spectres in quite a few modules. I just can't pick. I'm going to tell you why I can't recall right off the bat, because one, Spectres should be extremely rare. They're extremely powerful. And to throw them against a low-level party, I don't know which idea of a low-level party is, but if you're saying 1 to 3 DM Kojo, that's a game I wouldn't want to play with because
yeah.
When Spectre hits you, that's two level drains right there off the bat.
I think he was just mostly saying it was underused, and what's a way?
Yeah, you know what? I think in a way, I think he's right that they are an underused creature. I don't recall anything like a Spectre being like the focus of an adventure.
No,
maybe as a random encounter, maybe as a planned encounter, but nothing as like the focus around a whole module or adventure.
Right. Specters should be very rare, and that's with most modules that have these energy drainers. There's only 1 or 2 modules that really have a very big time undead foe, not just like Ravenloft or what is that, S4?
Tomb of Horrors?
Yeah.
No, not horror. That's S1. Well, the Demon Lich, you're right, S1. But the one with the vampire in S4.
Lost Caverns of Zoicanth.
Yeah, the Lost Caverns.
Did I pronounce that right? Zoicanth?
Yeah.
Oh, did you say it right? I don't think you said it right. It's that dialect of yours.
I'm sorry.
I attribute the region you come from.
I hit myself on the head with the monster manual.
Specters, I do know there's some modules that do have specters in there. I know there's one in Ravenloft. I can't say where it's at. I believe it's in the place where all the crypts are at. But yes, I mean, is it underused? No, not for being it rare. That's like saying the Demon Lich is an underused creature, even though it's almost considered, ultra rare or not unique. But, it's that kind of rare, and that's what you want specters to be, extremely rare, because they're extremely powerful. They're very dangerous.
Well, and the funny thing, they are rare, according to the Monster Manual. Number appearing 1 to 6.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Well, if there's 1 to 6, you know what? And you're talking about a low-level group, they're all dead.
Well, you can always adjust it for a low-level group as opposed to, you said it was level drain. Maybe you can do a temporary... like stat drain, for example, for the time being, and they pass out, they die, whatever. But for the battle, and then they would have to rest for a day or so to get it back, just so you can use it.
I guess to kind of put it in perspective, where the specter lies on, like, as far as how dangerous they are. When you look at the cleric, is it cleric or cleric? I want to pronounce it right.
You're right, Nick. Okay. Just go on.
The Spectre, or is it Spectre?
I've always said Spectre, but I guess Spectre is the same thing.
Spectre's good. It's right above them. It's between Mummy and Vampire.
Like this, for example, people say Kobold, and then there's some people that say Cobalt.
Yes.
So
or Cobbled.
Or Kobold. So it all depends on, or Tiefling, Tiefling.
Or Goblin.
It doesn't really matter.
Goblin.
No, just wherever you were born, wherever region you were raised in. So just continue.
Yes, I know. I'm sorry, kind of running gag here, but the Spectre runs. It's in between Mummy and Vampire on the Turning Undead table, so kind of gives you an idea how powerful these creatures are.
Yeah.
So it's almost right up there with a vampire.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think we could do like a creature feature theater on it.
Sure.
Yes, please do, because I can discuss a lot about specters. I like them.
Oh, well, we'll do it just for Will, then.
No. Do it for DM Kojo and everyone else that wants to use specters.
And all of our wonderful listeners out there.
Yes, and listener, our RFI Nation, the good people.
Yes.
Anyway, we got an email coming in from Jonathan S. Hey, guys, I'm an avid listener. Oh, did I say that right? Avid? Sorry, avid.
Oh, my God, you mispronounced it.
Sorry. I'm an avid listener.
The grammar Nazis are coming.
Anyway, I'm an avid listener to your podcast. Good to see there are still people out there who play old school AD&D, and that me and my gaming friends are not the only ones. I wanted to ask if you guys write a lot of your own dungeons now, or do you just download and buy D&D dungeons from WotC? Or actually, put Wizards of Coast. WotC, the same thing, and just back convert them to AD&D first and second edition. I've never done anything second edition, so bleh. The reason I ask is because that was a playful little taunt at the edition. Just
so
maybe I'd clarify that. The reason I ask is because I am a subscriber to the Wizards of the Coast D&D Insider, so I can download back copies of Dragon and Dungeon magazines. And I recently downloaded Dragon 182, which Will was looking for the Ghost, Return to the Ghost Tower of Inverness.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Return to the Ghost Tower of Inverness.
Right. It has all printed in the Ghost Tower. I read through the dungeon and decided I would run this for my group of friends in December. This dungeon is listed as a low level, and the group I am running for this the group I am running for... Wait a minute. the grammar. The group I am running this for is playing characters between first and second level, but the encounters in this dungeon that include fighting a Dretch, Orcajelly, and a Spectre. I'm guessing that You like that? I'm guessing that D&D 4th edition must make low-level characters a lot tougher. Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
But what would you guys recommend replacing these monsters with? Something a bit easier to fight, or just down the stats of the creatures? ? What sort of problems have you encountered when trying to convert 4th edition to just basic D&D 1st edition? Well, I don't think an ogre jelly is too tough. That was in basic D&D at one point for the longest time.
Yeah.
A dretch, I don't know that offhand. Will?
A dretch is a type of demon. I believe the dretch is found in the second Monster Manual, Monster Manual 2. It's a weird-looking, fat little tiny creature with long arms.
Oh, okay.
That's what a dretch is.
I guess
kind of looks like Danny DeVito on a bad day.
Yes.
Jeez. And I guess a specter wouldn't be too hard to. That was kind of too powerful.
I would probably replace the specter.
Unless
I would probably downgrade that to like at least a white or even a ghast.
I don't know.
But as far as converting 4th edition to 1st edition, well, for me, I don't. It's like comparing apples and orangutans. I just can't do it. Just stay away. Now,
I'm confused.
Now the help if he wants to find other like adventures to use. Well, if you do some searches like on Google or I can actually think of one company that actually does some stuff. I believe it Oh, darn it. I mispronounced it again.
Is it Expeditious Retreat or something?
Expeditious Retreat Press. They do a whole bunch of all new adventures. I found really good stuff there. Like it also said, you can convert some 2nd edition stuff. And there's lots of websites that you go out there that's stuff for free if you check out their forums. So I like Expeditious Retreat. I always thought they had some pretty good stuff. I got a few of theirs. And
it's not that hard to take a 3rd edition module or a 4th edition module and replace it. All you do is just take the creature equivalent to 1st edition and plug in their stats.
Mm-hmm. You could do that.
As far as traps, when they have traps, you basically as a DM to redesign them. So if they say it's a pit trap or something and they have to do a +2 to disable it or something, you just use your judgment on the thieving abilities for 1st edition, and you
I guess you could. I just find a lot of I'm a lazy DM. I just don't like to have doing a whole lot of converting. I think 4th edition is such a different animal compared to the 1st, even 2nd edition, and to a lesser degree 3rd, that I wouldn't even want to bother converting it. At least for my personal taste. I think there's a lot of other stuff out there that you could go beyond besides Wizards of the Coast to find stuff. If you want to take the time to convert it, go right on ahead. It's just not my cup of tea.
Not that hard, Nick. Trust me.
Well, I'm lazy. What can I say?
Well, if you're lazy, then it's hard.
I'm a lazy DM.
Who mispronounces everything.
Yeah. I don't know how to say nothing.
Will?
Well,
yeah.
Well, it's a deep subject. Oh, no. The thing with 4th edition, I think Vince gave the best advice is that if you find a creature that is similar to something in 1st edition, just replace the 2. Now, it doesn't take too much for the imagination to kick in, to modify and everything. It's not that hard. Now, the question I had concerning his email was, I was confused there now. He wanted to use monsters at lower levels. What was he trying to say again?
For what part?
It was toward the very end. He wanted to use 4th edition monsters for what?
He says, I'm guessing that D&D 4th must make lower level characters a lot tougher. What would you guys recommend replacing these monsters with? Make it a bit easier to fight, or just downstat the creatures? What sort of problems have you encountered when trying to convert 4th to 1st?
Well, converting 4th to 1st is actually, it's not a difficult process.
No.
I mean, one, you're getting rid of all the entire stat block. Instead of a 1-page stat block, you're reducing it down to maybe a 10-line stat block, which is real simple. Monster, frequency, hit die, hit points, alignment, number attacks, damage, blah, 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 treasure, and then so on and so on. And then for the information that you don't know, just omit it, and from there on, just take it from there and everything. But my advice to you is simply just buy a Monster Manual 1, 2, and, you know, and if you really want to get more monsters there, buy the monstrous compendiums and stuff for 2nd edition and use that as well, too, and everything.
And
Here's the thing, though, that's kind of sticks in my craw, though.
Uh-oh.
He's talking about this adventure to return to Ghost Tower of Inverness.
Yes.
And it's considered low level, right?
Yeah.
And there's a Spectre in there, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the problem. The power creep that totally came up in 4th edition compared, like the 1st edition AD&D. Low level is the concepts of low level in 4th edition is light years difference between 1st edition was considered low level.
Totally. So.
I mean, nobody in their right mind who's a right-minded DM would ever throw a Spectre into a low-level dungeon. Unless that Spectre was like, you know, the big bad guy that they had to eliminate. That would not be a numbered encounter or a random encounter in a low-level dungeon. See, that's the thing that just... The conversion thing, yeah, you could easily convert the stats over. I could completely understand that. Now, as far as playability, what the difference between low-level... Yeah, I don't know.
Well, you know, it's funny how you say that when you talk about the wandering monsters, because when you take a look at wandering monster tables, random tables, in a lot of the modules, and I will say a lot because a lot of them are like that, and I find them a bit flawed, you will find that the wandering monsters are usually much more powerful than the characters, you know, can really deal with.
Really?
Oh, yes. I mean, for example, I'll even use for like B1, Palace of the Silver Princess. When they get to the 2nd level, they can run into Medusas.
Ugh.
As a wandering monster, and I'm thinking to myself, why would you want to run into a Medusa at such a low level? Because, you know, I mean,
right.
It's insanity. So if you take a look at a lot of those modules from that era, look at Castle Amber's X2. Look at the Wandering Monster table on those charts. You say like, wow, these people are only this level. Why would they put this creature in there? And again, that's what they're dealing with.
I don't know.
Better have a cleric when it comes to a Spectre. You want to turn the thing at least.
Yeah, well, the cleric won't be able to turn it at 1st level, so...
No way, not even at 3rd.
See, and that's the whole point. And once that cleric sees that, once that Spectre sees that to clear it, and then, you know, they try to make that turning check and everything, and if it fails, well, then that Spectre hits that doggone cleric. Well, guess what happens? That bad boy ain't going to be turning anything else later.
No, he won't.
And when a Spectre attacks a person and kills them, that person rises up as a Spectre at half the power under the control of the Spectre that killed the thing.
Spectre or Spectre?
3 times he said it wrong. Oh my gosh.
He said it two different ways.
People's earphones are going to blow up.
In the same sentence, he said it 2 different ways. That's why I said it is a laugh.
That's funny.
That's awesome. I love it, man.
Dialect. It's my regional that I blame. I attribute my regional, you know, background.
Yeah, okay, here's a Spectre in 4th edition. I'm looking at it right now. I pulled out the Monster Manual book that I have. Actually, my hands are burning just touching it. But anyway.
You have to handle it with asbestos gloves?
Yeah. Okay, it's a level 4 lurker, whatever that means. I don't know.
Yes,
I don't know.
It lurks in the background.
Okay. It's got a +8 to initiative, whatever. Senses +6 dark vision. Okay, it's got a spectral chill cold aura, which I don't... enemies in the aura take a -2 penalty to all defenses. It's got an average of 30 hit points. Its AC is 16, so equivalent of 4 in our edition. It's fortitude, don't worry about that. It's immune to disease, poison, resists 10 necrotic. I don't know what that means.
What it means that it's resistant 10 necrotic is that if you type to do a damage with any type of any type of death spells that cause, you know, damage caused by death spells, they have to do over 10 points of damage to do damage to the Spectre.
Okay, this is where I could see it coming in to be different right here, because basically they got rid of the level drain. Now when they attack, they do necrotic damage, which is gives you a 1d6 +2 damage. Let's see. There is nothing about here that you can go invisible until they attack, but there is nothing in here that is taking away level drains. But there is another version of a Spectre, a Void Soul Spectre, which is level 23.
Gosh.
And that one has a life siphoning ability, which he basically, when he attacks and hits you, he gets 5 points back to his attack. But there is nothing in here about level draining. So there is where the difference between the two Spectres is.
Well, you would rather have the 4th edition Spectre than the 1st edition Spectre because the 1st edition Spectre is much more worse.
Yeah, so this is probably why it was included in that module, because this is pretty much, it's a tough boss, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm looking at the 1st edition Spectre, and yeah, what we said before. I mean, there's number appearing as 1 to 6. Armor class 2, 7 hit dice. It's got that energy drain, plus 1 or better weapons to hit.
Oh, yes. That's nasty.
Yeah.
And is necrotic damage something bad in 4th edition?
Oh, yes, definitely so. Yes,
what
because
effects does it
it's
have?
damage like from spells, like from necromancer spells, or any spell that has like a death aura around it or whatever, or is related to death, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so is that like one of those spells that has an effect that keeps going or something? Or
Yes, they can. Some spells can do that.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, well, so there you go. So this is this you'd probably rather have in the module than... But if you were doing what, as we said, you'd be swapping in a much more powerful monster.
Which proves to you that 1st edition AD&D is actually tougher, because you got to think.
So you could use this creature as is like this and just say that his special touch does, we'll say we can knock it down a little bit. Maybe he does 1d6 necrotic damage when he first attacks, and then every other round the players have to make a save and they take an additional point of damage or something from the attack.
Yes, exactly. Just like mummy rot, you get worse and worse. Or and also the thing with the cold aura, it does so much damage within a certain radius that as long as you continue to fight within a radius, you suffer some type of cold damage. And not the cold damage where it goes down in temperature, but the damage that affects your psyche, your soul, that kind of cold damage, if you get where I'm coming from.
Yes.
It's like a drain on your mental, you know what I'm saying.
And
I know exactly what you're talking about. I know if you want to talk real world, people who investigate these sorts of paranormal stuff, the psychic cold that some people experience, I guess it's kind of the same thing.
It's the same thing. Ghost Rider, when he burns people, he's not physically burning them with fire. He's burning their soul with that soul fire. That's what a hellfire.
I guess it'd be something similar if you want to, draw an analogy.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm looking at this. I'd rather, 175 experience points for this monster.
Wow.
That's it. Anyway.
It's a wuss compared to the 1st edition Spectre.
Oh, yeah, of course. But
we're showing our grognardiest stuff. Yes.
So thank you, Jonathan S. rfistaff@gmail.com was our email address. We have one last email coming from Greg. Hey guys, I just finished listening to your Underdark episode, issue number 78, and back in volume 1. Just wanted to say, this is directed to you, Nick, yes. Just wanted to say thanks for some good tips you gave me for my current Underdark game. I'm looking to add an Underdark city for my PCs to explore. And I was wondering if DM Nick has made any of the Underdark city that he mentioned available online, ? If not, has he considered selling it on RPG Now? Also, I was wondering if you guys had any good ideas for running a game where the PCs are members of Underdark Mercenary Group. Thanks for the podcast. Thanks again for the podcast, Greg.
Well, I'll answer the first part, and then someone answer the second, I suppose. I haven't made it available online. I'm talking with my friend Jeff. Since he got back from Afghanistan, we are looking at, I'm hoping maybe through this Christmas and stuff, this holiday season, since we're both going to have some time off, to look at what we have, see how we can add things more, see what we need to do as to make it maybe a publishable product. I think we're going to have some problems when it comes to things like product identity.
Yeah.
Because we're using monsters. I know there are a few monsters that I guess are product identity of the WotC. Namely, Mind Flayers, Beholders.
Oh, boy. Everything that's under their IP, yeah.
I forget there was maybe one more.
Why don't you throw a Rust Monster in there to get the full IP in there?
Yeah, I think they have like a list of like 20 monsters that they consider like product identity to what they own property. For D&D. Yeah. Gith Yankees, Githzerai, Mind Flayers, Beholders.
Or something like that, I don't know.
There's a few, I think there's maybe a couple of demons. I don't know, I have to look at the list again. But I guess I need to find out legally. I don't know. Everything's gotten weird now since the republication of the first edition books. I don't know. There might be a gray area here I don't know about.
As far as what?
As far as can I use the names of those creatures, or do I have to rename them still?
You have to rename them still.
Really?
Yes, they are not. They are still listed under the intellectual property of Wizards of the Coast, and they're not to be used unless specific consent is, I guess, given by Wizards of the Coast.
So I would have to get permission to use them.
Yeah, which you will not get.
Well, we don't. Well, we'll see. It depends on who I go through. If I go through an actual company to publish this, if I do publish it.
All right.
Now, if I do it for free, I don't know if there's anything they could do to me because I'm not making any profit from it.
No, what you could do is you could just list those intellectual property creatures as See Monster Manual 1.
Right. So that way I can do that. Now, if that's what I think. If we do this as a nonprofit thing, we just let it go as like a free PDF. I don't think they can do anything because I'm not profiting from it.
They could, based on the fact that you're giving away their information. I think it falls under giving away their product without payment or some weird thing.
Mm.
Yeah, you can't put their stuff down and give it away. You'd have to actually get permission for it.
So using Mind Flayers and Beholders, apparently
it's fine to use them.
I'd have to call them something else.
You'd have to call them something else and change the stats around a bit.
I thought you just had to give them a different name.
Yeah, I would change the stats around just to be safe.
Well, no, I'll have to find out. But yeah, that's where we're kind of at. We're not sure about if we can even release this because it's a whole Underdark kind of setting. And what are some key creatures that live in the Underdark? Well, Mind Flayers and Beholders, along with Drow and the Duger, the Deep Dwarf, those evil Grey Dwarves. And the Deep Gnomes.
And the person that gave it the review today.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Anyway, cool. Second part, mercenary groups? I don't know about that. I've never dealt with mercenary groups, really.
In the Underdark? That's actually a really cool idea, though.
Yeah, I don't really play Underdark much, to be honest.
Well, mercenary groups, it's not an unheard of topic. And it's an element that I use in my one campaign that I've been running for the last 27 years. And I like the option. I think that, let's be realistic to a certain extent in these fantasy game settings. It would be not uncalled for to have mercenary groups. If you can have mercantile groups, if you can have thief guilds, I mean, who is hiring who to protect, caravans?
Yeah.
It would be necessary. It would be simple to, it'd be simple to think up, there'd be mercenary groups for hire.
I think a good place to look for inspiration that kind of did like for mercenary or adventurer groups is Forgotten Realms, especially the first edition box set.
Yep.
They have nice listing about mercenary adventurer groups. Now, just kind of off the top of my head, when you tie in this into the Underdark, who I would see would want to make mercenary groups, swords for hire, I could definitely see the Drow hiring mercenaries.
Always.
I could see the Deep Dwarves, the Duger, would do such a thing, maybe. Maybe even the Deep Gnomes. And I believe that their actual name is pronounced Nerfneblin. I think I actually pronounced that right. Yeah.
Nick, you get a cracker.
Thank you.
There you go.
I'd rather take experience points, but hey, cracker's good too.
All right, we'll give you 10 experience points.
Yay!
You can actually level up now.
Wonderful. But yeah, Drow would definitely hire on mercenaries. Maybe even those. Was it Grey Dwarves? The Duger, I think they're the Grey Dwarves.
Yeah.
Any large organized race of the Underdark, in one way or another, might want to hire mercenaries. Some of them, I think, just because of the nature of the race, because they are so arrogant, bordering on hubris, like beholders and mind flayers, I don't think would do mercenary groups.
Yeah. Who knows?
Some of the other races, I think they would.
I know that mind flayers would probably do mercenary groups to go find them more, victims or, slaves to either feed upon or to, whatever.
How we wrote up the mind flayers for ours, because they always, and I got some inspiration. There was an excellent ecology of the mind flayer article way back in the Day of the Dragon magazine. I used this for some of the inspiration. The races I use that were associated with mind flayers are creatures that not exactly are tasty to the mind flayers. They don't want to eat their brains. So things like the Meanlocks, I think they're called.
Meanlocks, yeah.
Meanlocks out of the Fiend Folio. They'll use Ogre Magi. They'll use, but they won't use them as mercenaries. They look at them as subordinates they use for their control, for their ultimate means. So,
how did you treat mind flayers? And since we're talking about the Underdark, mind flayers and aboleths, do you have them as mortal enemies?
Actually, didn't get that far into that yet. I still have to figure out how a relationship would be between those two races, but bringing that up, I would think that would be another adversarial relationship, because they're very similar in their outlooks. Each one sees themselves as a master race.
Yep.
How we kind of took the difference on it between like beholders and mind flayers, that there's kind of like an uneasy truce between the two. They're kind of like, they won't want to go to fisticuffs to each other because they know it would be, I guess the best way to describe it, there's a cold war between beholders and mind flayers in our campaign setting. That if they do any sort of stuff between the two, it's kind of like proxy wars, if you will. But like the aboleth and mind flayers, I would see that as a lot more confrontational.
Well, you can always rename the mind flayers how people refer to them. Like they call them squid heads. You can call them squid heads.
I think I can actually use illithid. I could use illithid.
Can you?
Yes. It says under their listing, it says mind flayer. Doesn't say I can't use illithid.
All right.
Yeah, I think the problem is, though, that I don't think you can use that because I don't know if Paizo attempted that and they failed. I don't think you can use that term either.
I'm such a small fish, they wouldn't come after me anyway.
Well, that's not true because they went after somebody who was selling artwork a while back. He had a beholder, he had a mind flayer, not a mind flayer, he had a beholder and a rust monster in his artwork, and they cease and desisted him. And he was only a little guy; he wasn't selling it for much, like maybe $2 or $3 the artwork.
Well, that's the thing. Kind of going on the other thing, I don't know if I don't do it for profit, if I'm doing it for free, I'm not sure how they would, approach it. But I'm going to find out from somebody, from a few people I know. I'm going to try to talk to Frank Metzer about this, because I hopefully might be doing some work for them in the future. I don't know if I mentioned that in the past, but I'm going to try.
Give a holler to Jason too. I mean,
you know what? Yeah,
he's good with the intellectual property
because he's connected with those people. With the new Gygax magazine. Maybe they might know too. In fact, if you guys are listening, give me a holler back here and let me know what I can and cannot do. So thanks.
Yeah, at least, if anything, Jason can direct you to the right person to ask the question. I've asked him a bunch of questions. And
I tell you, the
he's
expert
directed.
on that would be James Ward.
Yeah, but he's very busy right now, so.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if anyone knows anything, that would be James Ward, because he had to deal with that issue with the D20 and all that other stuff. Oh, man, that was just horrible.
Well, either Jim Ward, Tim Kask, and the rest of that crew, whoever's available, who's listening, get back to me through our forums, through our website, and hey, we'll see what happens from there, right?
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Anyway, so that's stage advice, and we'll head into our next segment, table matters, in just a moment. This week we're gonna be focusing on what people like. As of recent, we're gonna focus on a module, and it's a very well-known module. It's from the A series. In fact, it's A1 slips. Yeah, I guess I mispronounced that.
Oh no!
Yeah, A1 Slave Pits of the Undercity. So this is a good one to pay attention. I think it's levels, I don't have the module in front of me at the moment.
4 to 7.
4 to 7. I was going to say that. Anyway, let's get into the table matters next.
Typical. Of all the evil creatures in the world, I'd like to find one with table manners.
What, are you kidding me? I spent years cultivating the worst table manners on the planet.
Table manners.
Okay, here we are in Table Manners, and like Vince said previously, we're going to be talking about Module A1, Slave Pits of the Undercity by David Cook. Mm-hmm. And this was an adventure for characters level 4 through 7. This is part of the famous A series of modules that were published back in the early 80s, modules A1 through A4. We're going to cover A1. And it originally was a tournament module for Gen Con 13.
Yes.
So a little bit of Gen Con history there for us. So in this segment, I'll talk about the basic story of this first module. Then I'll get into maybe some plot hooks that you can use as a DM when you want to put this into your particular campaign, how you can get your player characters involved with this, and cover any good and bad points in this one particular module. So just knowing the general background of this, and I'm just going to kind of read a little bit here and there, maybe paraphrase on the background of this. Mm-hmm. Several years, organized bands of pirates and slavers been raiding the coastal towns of the Sea of Gearnat. Now, just a little FYI, this module, like most of the modules prior to 1985, I would say, by TSR, were focused on the World of Greyhawk fantasy campaign setting. So everybody grab your Greyhawk maps, your gloss auguries, and what have you.
Ooh, and go to Anna's website, right, Will?
And that's right. Website.
Yeah, Anna's website, ghmaps.net, and you could probably find this listed in there, in fact.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So it goes on saying, ranging from Onwall to the Wild Coast, they have descended quickly and ruthlessly on small towns and villages, taking citizens in the middle of the night. The local lords and other communities haven't done much to them because at first it was just hit and miss operations that they were conducting. But recently the attacks became more numerous, more threatening, and the lords that are local have finally become determined to take action. And they said, forgetting their petty squabbles, they unite against the marauders of the Yellow Sails. Through information gained from the escaped slaves and those fortunate enough to have been found and bought by families or friends, lords have tracked the slavers to a port. This port is the city of Highport. It's in the Pomarge, which is basically like a demi-human realm, which is, I believe, south of the Wild Coast. And this adventure kind of starts, I guess the term would be in media res, where you start at the beginning, right where they think you're already in Highport.
Yes.
And you've already found where the slavers are, their stronghold in the city of Highport. So that's how it kind of starts.
The tournament start puts them right in front of the secret entrance.
Yeah, basically puts you right in front of the entrance to a temple that was once devoted to a god, but now has. Now, it doesn't say what god it is that was this temple that was once dedicated to. Now, I did a kind of a little research on this when I was reading through the module. Now, using this as in the Greyhawk fantasy campaign setting, I would say when there was a few references here to she or her as far as whatever god is. So it's definitely a female god. It's definitely a goddess.
Yeah, I think it was during the time when they were still inventing a lot of things for Greyhawk, so I don't think they left it open so that you could decide on your own, kind of.
Yeah.
Maybe Gary had an idea going for this, and then he decided, nah, don't worry about it.
I would think if you were going to maybe say if it was a temple devoted to a goddess, I would say either Marika, who's the goddess of agriculture, or maybe even Biori. She's a nature goddess, I believe. World of Greyhawk. So if you want to try to tie this in somehow, maybe one of the plot hooks I was thinking of before is maybe one of those temples of Biori or Marika. Maybe they lost contact with this particular temple and they wanted to find out why, and they in the city of Highport. Maybe that would be something. Or they're trying to reestablish it. Just one of those ideas that you can use as a plot hook.
So the regular start puts the adventurers outside the walls of the ruined temple compound, while the tournament start puts them behind the temple at the secret entrance.
Yeah. So there's the tournament part, and then there's the regular campaign parts to this, which I found were a little bit weird.
Yeah.
But
I don't understand why they did that. I don't. Maybe just. Because of the role playing aspect of sneaking around in the beginning, or.
Yeah, maybe. I think also part of it was, I think when you look at the secret entrance part, if anybody else has this, you're kind of looking around. I believe they start you in front of the secrets entrance at 1A.
It says behind the back of the temple. Yeah.
So
I'll cover that.
Okay, we'll move on from that then. We'll cover that.
I think that's more because the tournament part, you're talking about time constraints. So,
yeah, I was wondering about that too. We'll cover that in the next thing.
But some of the things I found interesting in this adventure is, as I reread through it, I was pleasantly surprised at the dungeon ecology. Particularly on the second level, when you get down into the sewers.
Yeah.
I thought the dungeon ecology, I really don't care much about the dungeon ecology stuff because it's D&D, It doesn't really have to make sense. But in this way, it does. I like how the new monster that they threw in here, I think we're going to talk about later, the Aspis, works in conjunction with giant ants.
Yeah, they're very... Yeah, well, I'll talk about that later. So
yeah, but I thought that was really cool on how the dungeon ecology of the adventure actually kind of works.
You notice something about the artwork throughout the whole module? It looks...
Yeah, it's black and white.
Yeah, obviously it's black and white. Thank you, Will. You get a cookie for that one, Will. No, the thing I wanted to point about the module, it's very Marvel superhero-like, if you look at it. Just take a step back and look at the characters. I don't know. It's kind of like they took drawings and just put fantasy stuff on it from a superhero book.
I guess a little bit.
Yeah, kind of. You look at some of the pictures and it kind of looks like that. But all right, go ahead. Keep going. It's like they use stock art.
Yeah. It wasn't stock art, but I thought what was cool. Well, if you want to talk about artists, the artists that were on this were, let me see, Jeff D., David S. LaForce, Jim Rosloff, and Bill Willingham.
Jeff D. did some of that. That explains a lot of
That's the cover.
Yeah.
Jeff D. did the cover. He also did, he did the front and back.
I'm sure
I don't know if he did any of the interior art. I'm trying
Page 14, I think he did, because it says D on there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And those are not orcs with pig faces.
Yeah, they have more of a an ape-like look to them.
Yeah, really.
His work's kind of ape-looking. Yeah, that's definitely Jeff D's work, and Willingham's work. You could tell for sure as well. But some of the good things, like I said, the dungeon ecology I thought was done really well in this. I think it's also one of the good things. It's a great start to one of the classic campaigns, is the Slave Lords series. Yeah. I mean, you just some of it doesn't really get any better than that. I like the simple fact that the Slave Lords, most of them are humans. You're not dealing with demons or anything like that. You're dealing with just some really, really bad people. I think that was one of the cool points on this adventure.
What's really cool? The cemetery area with the plants. How the goddess willed the plants to come alive, to be animated.
Yes, I love that part. That cemetery part was actually very, very interesting. If you stray off the path even a little bit, you're going to get grabbed by some brush or some weeds, or God knows. You might even encounter some ghouls in there.
For example, you have a random roll when you're walking around off the path, like you said, but the first one, branches and weeds bend and move, blocking the path beyond the last person in the party. Mm-hmm. To return the way they came, a party would have to cut through this overgrowth.
Yeah. See, that's why when I was reading through this, I was thinking, this temple at one point must have been devoted to some sort of nature goddess. Yeah. So if you want to try to do a tie-in to that, if you want to get some real detail, you can go to that aspect too.
This one cracks me up. Number 3, the branches of a bush will attempt to pickpocket. Remember the part?
Yeah, that's funny. That could actually be kind of detrimental. It's like, okay, what was in your backpack here?
It's a small item though, but it's just kind of funny that the bushes are pickpocketing people.
Yeah, why not? Maybe a potion.
Maybe the bushes want to go out to the casino. They need some money, right?
You never know. They need fertilizer too.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'll continue along. Go ahead, Nick.
But overall, one of the things I found interesting is typical of a lot of the adventures of this type came out at this time. You have a solution to a problem that's going to come ahead of you. For example, there is a section here where you come across an alcove where there is a bunch of a few barrels of wine that has soured to vinegar. Yeah. The next encounter at this time, which was a new monster, is a giant sundew, which lets out its sticky tendrils, black tendrils, and tries to, touch you and take you into its clutches.
Yes.
What's the one thing in the description that dissolves the stickiness?
I don't know what.
Well, things like alcohol.
Yeah.
Vinegar. Things like that will dissolve the tendrils of the honeydew. So, this is kind of like one of those things that were common in the area. And you know what? I kind of like it's maybe it's campy a bit, but I kind of like camp a little. I watched Mystery Science Theater 3000. Go figure. Anyway, so it's one of those things which shows that this was definitely a tournament module, because there's a situation that arises where the adventuring party is going to face an encounter where they might not have a normal means to get through it, but somewhere in the vicinity of that encounter is a solution, Sort of like going to the, slaying the red dragon. What do you find in its hoard? A +5 sword versus red dragons or something.
No!
Who wrote this? Gary Gygax? Duh! But, so that was one of the things I enjoyed about this. Another, I guess, is the the denizens of this temple that took it over. There are some things in this that took up residence later on after. It's mostly orcs and half-orcs that are working with the slavers in here. But there's a few things that they're afraid of that they avoid, namely those basilisks. I love the basilisk den because there's like a 10-foot wall that separates the basilisks from the rest of the temple. So that lends me to believe at one point or another, and I think it's in the adventure, like whoever encountered these before were smart enough to say, you know what, we can't kill them, but you know what, we're going to keep them around. They're good to get rid of, whoever we might capture who are, trying to take us out. I just thought that was kind of cool. They're like, we're even avoiding this area. So I think those are some of the good points on this. I like the use of the new monster, the Apsis, that we're going to talk about later.
Yeah, even the random encounter is pretty decent looking if you look at it.
Yes, and I'm actually glad you brought that up. I almost forgot about the Wandering Monster roster. I thought this was really good. They actually put in the Wandering Monster roster section that when these creatures are encountered, there is a count. Say, for example, the Wandering Monsters, one of them is crocodiles. If they encounter a couple of the crocodiles in the sewer section, you deduct it from the total of 10 crocodiles. So, to me, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't mean there's like this giant random monster generator machine out under this whole dungeon that's spitting out green slime gas and doppelgangers and crocodiles. There is a finite amount of random encounters that your party members are going to run into, so you got to deduct it from the total, and that makes a lot of sense to me. So I thought that was a pretty cool thing, and I think that some of these they're asterisked. And if they're, like, for example, we were talking about those basilisks. If you encounter them as a wandering monster and you eliminate them, once you go to their lair, they're not there. They were somehow got out of their lair, and you were able to eliminate them before you got to their lair.
Yeah.
So,
do you think they were a little bit liberal with giving out magical items in this? I'm seeing it because I'm scanning through it as we're talking after reading it, and I remember seeing there was quite a bit of magical stuff that they threw out.
But nothing, I think, that was overly powerful. I don't think there was anything really here that, at least in my opinion, that was unbalancing. I'm looking, a +1 cloak of protection, a potion of healing, a +1 dagger, +2 versus magic user and enchanting creatures. Not all that powerful. To me, it didn't seem that bad as far as magic items. I thought it was okay.
Yeah, I guess so. I kind of thought it was a little bit more. I guess I'm more strict about giving out magical things, and I guess the word is a stingy DM. I guess you can call me, and I don't like my characters getting too powerful. I don't like superhero games like D&D.
Oh, neither do I. But looking at the actual magic items that it has in here, many of them are, one-shot use. A potion of speed, a potion of healing. There's a scroll protection from petrification. Those are one-shots. As far as ones that, that are permanent, +1 mace, the 1 dagger I mentioned. I don't see really anything else that is a +1 ring of protection.
I saw a cloak +1, gauntlets of dexterity, +1 dagger, +2 versus magic users and enhanced creatures, things like that. I don't know. I thought maybe it was a little bit much in certain. There was a lot of gold was given out, a lot of platinum as well.
Yeah. I don't see. Well, I guess it depends on, like you said, like your idea of what do you consider too much. For me, doesn't seem a whole lot.
I don't know. I don't like fast level up when I'm DMing. I like to level up how it's supposed to be done. It takes a long time to level up.
Mm-hmm. And that's like a whole other discussion and how other people handle it. I've gotten in that too. Like, I don't give out experience points for for gold pieces. And I think we talked about that before. We had a discussion about something like that, about experience points and how it should be divvied.
Yeah, we won't get into that again, but yeah, you did say that. Yeah, true.
Yeah. So now, as far as like, those are some of the highlights. Some of the things that I enjoyed, a lot of the good points, and that I don't really see a whole lot of bad points. I guess the only real bad point I see about this adventure is, like it says, it throws you plop right there, right in front of the where the slave lord holding is in Highport. There's no how did we get here sort of thing, you know. How did we, you know, find out all this information? How did we travel here? All that sort of thing. If that's part of your campaign. So I guess as far as plot hooks, one of the plot hooks you could use is, like, at the very beginning of the module, maybe there are the raids that are happening, and you just leave out the part that is, you know, you get to that point where you find out at its high port. Maybe you have a few adventures where you have to capture some slavers. That maybe some of these local lords have said, okay, we've had enough. We're hiring you guys to actually capture some slavers and find out where they're coming from. So maybe that would be a good plot hook.
True.
So you set up maybe a little mini adventure on maybe at a town on the coast. You go to that town. Maybe you do some digging in the town. Maybe there's some agents for the slave lords in that town. You find out about them. Maybe you capture them and they reveal information, or maybe they raid this particular town every so often. You're just waiting for the next time when they show up. So, yeah, I would say that would be a really good plot hook to use. You know, and I can. Well, I'm actually kind of thinking about module U1, Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh. It's very similar in a case where you have to actually go out to a ship. Maybe you got to do the same thing here. You know, you got to capture the slave lords. They're coming by sea. Maybe you have to actually go out to a ship and raid that ship and take it over. That might be a good plot hook. There might be a way to even tie those two adventures together. I don't know. Maybe just borrowing some ideas from that one adventure, A Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh, and use that as your plot hook into this adventure. So that's one really good one I could think. Can you think of a plot hooks there, Vince? You can throw in?
I think what you said was pretty much good, but I do like the fact of how they start you in certain places.
Yeah. That's good for the tournament part. Some DMs might like a little bit more of a, you know, start them a little bit further back, like I was saying. How about you, Will? What do you think as far as plot hooks, kind of throwing them in to this adventure?
Plot hooks, huh?
Yeah.
Well, wow. Well, now, if you are playing this as a regular play module, this is forget the tournament rules and all that other crap.
Right.
I would actually come up with a small mini adventure prior to this.
Yeah.
And now, I was going to discuss this when it was my turn to talk, but in my early days, I ran this both as a tournament module and as a regular campaign module. And how that connect was that using my players' backgrounds, I would have one or two of the players that had relatives that would disappear.
Oh, okay.
And that their families would say, listen, they've been kidnapped, and then give them a little thing. The lords of the land have been dealing with these slavers and everything, and they took your cousin, they took your uncle, they did this. Help me. You know, that kind of, you know.
And that makes it a lot more personal, don't it?
Yeah, it does, actually.
Yeah.
And that gives them a reason, you know, to go. But then how I did it, I put it in there as, not as a red herring, or as a herring, or whatever you want to call it. I did it, especially if they were in the middle of another adventure. Then I would let that come in, so that when they got done with that adventure, then they said, like, well, I really like to go save my uncle. Will you all come with me?
So it's
See,
kind of
and
like you're planting that seed there, if you will.
Yes, it's just a seed because you want so you plant it there. So when they get to the end of the adventure, then you find it gets a lot worse. Not as it just the uncle's missing. Right. Now 2, 3 cousins and another uncle, another aunt, and so on. They're also missing. Maybe the grandfather or maybe a father or mother, depending on how young the characters are, have disappeared or they've been kidnapped. And you see where I'm coming from on that.
Yeah, I definitely see that, and I'm pretty much done what I had to say on my section. So unless you guys had something else to add,
let's jump over to DM rules.
Yeah, let's jump over the DM rules then.
I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want, but I have a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
Okay, this is DM Will. We're going to talk about A1.
Thank you, DM Will.
So today I'm going to discuss the difference between the module as far as from a tournament aspect and that of a regular campaign module.
Yeah.
Well, now, like Nick.
Yeah, me.
Yeah, Nick, the other co-host,
the one who I can't pronounce words.
Like,
you know?
Right.
like Will said last week.
Not here today. Mott's not here today. So
I say attribute, not attribute.
Yeah. So Nick said that this module was originally ran at Gen Con 13, which was some years ago. And since my other part of the internet went down, I can't give you a specific date. However, I remember when this module came out because I got it as soon as it was made available to customers. Mm-hmm. When I was down there in Alabama, we ran this as a tournament module to start off with because our intent was in the future was, and it actually worked out 6 months later, we actually had a D&D tournament there. So we used this area of slave lords as a test tool to see how we can run a successful D&D tournament. Now, with the rules in this, the rules are very different in this compared to some of the other tournament modules like the Hidden Shrine of Tomoken and some of the other. There's some vast differences in here. In this case here, with this particular module, you're going to come across 2 sets of maps. You're going to have the ones that are colored in blue, and then you're going to have the ones that says tournament maps that are all in black and white.
Right. Yeah.
You will notice that with the tournament module, you will only use the one that say tournament maps, and you'll find out that the majority of the rooms have been blacked out on both the first and second level. Mm-hmm. If you're doing the tournament module, you are only going to allow the adventurers to go into those rooms on the black and white maps, plain and simple. All the other rooms have been omitted.
Right.
Omitted,
Omitted?
removed.
Omitted?
Yeah, omitted.
They've been taken away.
They have been taken away, so you don't run them through there.
Tributes.
I also know. I also heard Vince talk about the leveling up portion.
Yes.
In the tournament modules, they do not gain experience and level up.
Right.
That is made very plain and clear. They will level up as they proceed in the tournament portions.
Right, the tournament will dictate.
Which ones they have an automatic level up thing. So the players will not concern themselves with killing as many monsters or doing all this. In the event of this tournament, when I remember as it being run back in the day, good God, that was a long time ago, it was a timed tournament.
Yep.
When you are in a timed D&D tournament, the goal is to get as far as you can, doing what you can and trying to avoid all the big heavy fighting and all the crazy crap.
Right. Oh yeah, that's like that with almost any tournaments like that. You're only given 3 or 4 hours.
Right.
Because that's the time slot they have at the convention.
Right. Now with the A1, this particular module is run for 2 sessions, the first level and the second level. And as you can see, they provided 9 pre-generated characters. And being a tournament module, you will use the pre-generated characters.
Yep.
Now, I will have to tell you, there was one thing that you all did miss, nothing major and everything. I found the character names horrendous.
Well, I wasn't really concerned with that. So.
Well, those pre-generated character names are just horrible. Fanstern, was that Ogre, Elwida, Frida, Caraway, Blodgett. Oh, please. Give me some fantasy names. Oh, those names were just horrible.
I like Kayan. That's not too bad.
Yeah, there's like one or two that are fine, but the other ones, horrible. Ugh.
Blodgett.
Blodgett, yeah, good Lord. Anyway, when we jump back to the tournament side house, there is a scoring system. And the scoring system actually for this tournament series is very, very simple. For example, at the very start, when you're set in that particular area, which I believe was in the back, right, at 1A by the secret door,
Yeah.
scoring adjustments. Well, if someone decides to cast invisibility on the halfling to go through the door, that's +7 experience points or +7 points. Room 1, there's a trap there, which you have to read that carefully, but there's a 1A and a 1B. Wherever the trap is, it says room 1. So I'm not sure which room 1 they're concerning. I'll have to take a look at that. And I will tell you, there is some errata for this doggone module because there are some mistakes in here. There's a +4 attempting to find trap. Room 2, there are no adjustments. Room 4 is very interesting. Plus a -4 for attempting to cross on charred section, which is the board, I believe. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Which is the thing around the room. And then there's a +4 for using spider climb, levitate, or climb walls to, get across. So it was very specific that you went into a room, you would only get points if certain actions were conducted.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad because if someone came up with a very, very, very good idea that's not even mentioned on here, there are no bonus points.
Yeah, how do you score that, or do you score it at all?
It's not scored whatsoever.
Yeah.
You have to go with the criteria of the tournament scoring, which is very specific. You cannot deviate from, what they have in the guidelines. Mm-hmm. You brought up room 10 with the basilisks.
Yep.
But in the tournament, there are no basilisks.
That's right.
So it's a non-factor. The basilisk, that is a killing room. It is a nasty room. And I feel sorry for the players that go into that room and everything. But like I said, they're hiding behind that wall.
Right.
Which means that the characters are probably going to go in there in the campaign portion. Say, well, there's a big wall right there. Let's see what's behind there. As soon as they get in the room, the basilisks hear them. They hear the growling, and the basilisks come out, and guess what? Da-da-da, turn the stone, and you're done. Let me see here. I'm just looking at some of these rooms in here. Oh, you will also notice if you look at the tournament map and the campaign map, there is a discrepancy. And that was one thing.
On which level? The first or second level?
The first level.
Okay.
Take a look at room 7.
Yep.
Okay, well, let me take that back there. I'm sorry. Take a look at 12A.
Okay.
Yep.
See there, it says on the 12A there is an F there, a floor opening there. Where does that go to? So it took me forever to figure out where in the world does that go to. But if you look at the tournament map, 12A, it says C, and there's a room 7 there. Do you see that?
Oh, that concealed door. Concealed. Yeah.
Wait, that stairway. And if you take a look at that stairway, the stairs go down or they go up. But where do they go to? So that was a big discrepancy there. Then I just realized how that all fit in there. So, and actually what I'm doing, just to let you all know, my goal right now, I'm converting this completely over into Pathfinder, to the Pathfinder rule set.
Oh, cool.
Oh, yeah. And it's working out very excellent. Actually, I like how it's set up. And I'm going to do it from both versions, for the tournament and for the regular one. I'd have to see how that works. Anyway, so I noticed these discrepancies as I'm going back, being very careful to make sure everything is done exactly as it is here, because that's how I do my conversions. Completely mirror image of one another, just a different rule setting. So you'll see some errors here in the maps.
Oh, yeah, I remember seeing one. It was at room 17 on the first level where it says, let's see if I can find it. Or it's not rooms. I think it is room 17 on the first level.
Oh yeah, there's so much.
The long hall with all the
doors.
Yeah, with all the statues of the gargoyles and what have you. It says where the X is on the map. It's actually not a X. It's a T. The mark as a trap. So don't look for the X on the map. It's actually marked as a T.
Yeah, so there's a lot of wording that's incorrect and everything. And so now what I did is I looked at that too, yeah, and like I said, even on the tournament map, they still have a T there. And I'm thinking like, okay, what does this T mean? So it says trap on the legend, but it doesn't say that in the description of the room. So that's why I'm redoing it for Pathfinder rules. And then I will post this on the site because I can do that. I'm not selling nothing. And then show them how the room should be done. Wandering monsters. In the tournament thing is that there are no wandering monsters.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true. Tournaments don't use wandering monsters.
Yeah, it takes up too much time.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing because that's exactly what happens. Because running the original, the modules and everything, I'm just telling you, A1 and A2 each contain 2 sessions. So A1 was 2 sessions, the first and second level. A2 was 2 sessions. But they give you some rules and guidance on how to, change that if you want to, change it up a little bit. And again, they don't advance the level. There is a scoring system. Now, according to this, the scoring system that is in here was not used at the Gen Con Open. Would really like to find that scoring sheet for that particular, for the Gen Con Open. I don't know if anyone that might have it. I do not have it. Finding modules that were run during those tournament days are really few and far in between. And I would really like to see what their scoring options were. I guarantee there were a lot more than what were given in this module here. There had to have been.
You know, one thing I did notice, it's, again, on that temple chamber,
yes,
18,
right,
where they have the statue of Orcus.
Yes,
basically. I did notice something. I wonder why they did this. Where there's a paragraph, and it says for non-tournament use only, the trap door to the lower level has been trapped to prevent unwanted people to lower level. If the trap door is opened without first locking the secret catch on the left foot of the statue, the arms of the statue will fall forward, and the sword blade will swing directly over the trapdoor and do 6 to 36 points to any person in its path. Now, they said for non-tournament use only. My opinion, I would have think that should have been in the tournament because that should be a trap.
Yeah, I think so.
That's a cool trap to have at the tournament.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
See, this is what the issue, though. Let's see. That's room 18. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's the room where they basically
Okay.
rededicated the temple to Orcus, and they have all the orcs in it, and there's the one evil cleric.
Now, are you sure? Well, it looks like Grumsh to me. Grumsh is the one that had one eye, right? No, he had 2 eyes.
No, I'm sorry, not Orcus, Grummish. You're right.
Yeah, because
I stand corrected.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
just then, because Orcus is the prince of the undead. Just a thought. Not no
I
big
was
deal.
thinking orc. Thinking
Orcus. That
It's
makes sense.
Grummish. You're right.
Yeah. But anyway, when you look at the room 18 for scoring, there's only 3 things there. +4 for casting blindness on cleric, +4 for casting silence on cleric, +8 for casting dispel magic or avoiding silenced area.
Okay.
So, and I see where you're coming from. Had that been part of the tournament module, they said like, +4 for finding trap in left foot. And actually, it'd be a -10 for letting statue fall on person taking suffering damage. And you see where I'm coming from in that. So I'm very interested in what their tournament, the actual scoring sheet was. I wish they had added it to it like they did the other ones.
I just thought, at least in my personal view of that, I thought that would have been a cool trap to have in the tournament.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, you're testing the skills of these people. And, if he doesn't find his fine trap so well,
With that said, I want you to understand the way they set this tournament scoring up, unlike other tournaments, this was a group effort thing as far as points were concerned.
Right.
Now, in this case here, let's say you get the +7. That +7 or that +4 or that -4 or that minus thing, plus the surviving amount of characters, you add that all up together, and that is what the group score is.
Oh, okay.
And so now in that, see, that's what it was. Now, what we did was we played it with that. So when we did the first tournament, we did it only for groups. So all the groups would get, the groups would get, scored, group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, who had the highest score? They did. So group 2, you are the ultimate winner. Then it's second place and third place, and everyone got the little prizes, and everyone was a happy camper. What we did was, what we added to this was also an individual group award for the best player or for the most spectacular kill, something stupid like that, or whatever the case may be. And they would also get a special prize. That only, up the ante, and that would, bring more people in it, because, I mean, who wants to come to a D&D tournament and not get a prize, and they came in second place? It kind of stinks.
Right.
Just like having that the RFI contest with the edition reprints and everything, and only one person got a prize. Who else wants to contribute next time? So we're going to change that stuff. So I should have learned that from the get-go.
Well, that's usually how contests work. One person gets a prize.
Yeah, usually it is and everything. That's true.
Just like the lottery, one person usually wins. Sometimes more win with them. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
Now, tournament. You mentioned this as well, Vince, concerning the amount of magical items.
Yeah, and also, go on. Yeah.
For the tournament, this is what the characters are going to get. So in the long run, does this? I mean, for a campaign, is this inordinary amount? See, I'm messing up my words now. I'm sorry there, my friend, whoever said make fun of me. But is it an ordinary amount of magical items? Well, I'm looking at the characters, and I'm looking at their level. Most of them are between 5th and 6th, 5th and 4th, and so on like this. And I will have to notice, too, that this is a first edition advanced D&D game, and there's another mistake I think they made. But let's start with the magical items. I think they really don't have that many, and they're really of inconsequence. Now, I know I looked at Kay, and she has 2 javelins of piercing. She has a scroll of hold portal and suggestion. Hold portal. It has no effect in this module complete at all. So I don't understand the logic of having a hold portal scroll.
Hold portal?
Yeah.
Doesn't make no sense to have that scroll for this particular module. So I see some issues with how some of these things are. There's a potion of clairaudience healed by Caraway. Okay, but there's no scoring for any of that stuff and everything. So I'm kind of confused on how they distributed these magical items.
Yeah.
So the one person, Frida, she has +3 chainmail, and Frida is a 4th level ranger. Mm-hmm. That seems kind of high, +3 chainmail.
Yeah, it does.
That seems kind of high. I think they went overboard. That could have been +1, maybe +2. I would rather have been a +1, but I haven't gone back to look at the magical items they could have found to supplement that. Whatever the case may be.
Well, but it's a tournament module, then who cares what you put in the module?
That is true, too.
Yeah, because the players aren't going to continue after this, really.
Well, no, yes, they will, because remember now.
Yeah, but after the day is done, I meant all the modules are done.
Yeah, then it's a dead issue.
Yeah.
But then again, I would not use these characters for a campaign because these are tournament characters, so I wouldn't primarily use these characters.
I think the point you're making, though, is if they're going to have these magical items for the tournament characters, at least have them be useful.
That's the whole point. Why would you have a potion of clairaudience? You would think that this potion might be useful somewhere in the tournament module as a whole.
Yeah, but it really isn't.
And now I haven't looked at A2 to see how they, that might be for a later thing in scoring.
Yeah, good point.
Tournament scoring in there. I'm not seeing anything as far as a sheet for scoring. That's my only issue right there. Now, but you will see in A2 for scoring adjustment for large tournaments, they start talking about the DM's discretionary bonus system, where people get points for special play, excellent play, good play, blah, 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 and so on and so on. And I will also notice that the same magic items that you find in A1, the same characters have the same ones in A2.
So they might be useful in that adventure.
See, and that's what I'm saying. But I do not see a sheet for scoring at this current time. I'm not going to waste my time on this for, those kind of things. So I'll have to look at that later. It might be another thing there. Anyway,
I got a question on your tournament that you did, if you can remember.
Sure.
How did the people get the characters? Because I remember when I went to my first convention, I went into an AD&D tournament. They actually had all the player character sheets around the table face down, and when you turned it over, that was the character you had.
Oh,
yeah, they've done that before.
Yes, that's an excellent question. With any tournament module, everyone that goes to a tournament should be somewhat proficient in playing a character, and for it to be fair to everyone around the table, especially if there's any type of personal scoring for people playing characters, The character sheet should be upside down, randomized around the doggone table.
Because I remember when I went in that tournament, when I did it, you know what character I got? A paladin. And I did well. So I was just, and when they went to each round, whoever proceeded to the next round, did they get a totally different character then?
The next round? No. They
stuck with that same character through the whole tournament.
The same group of people, yes. Now, there was a thought at the time what we wanted to do is that was to mix up the players for the next session. That didn't make no sense.
Okay.
Because I think we would be wasting time. That people already know what characters are. Let's just continue on with the storyline and see how they progress from there.
Okay, I was just curious about that, how that went. So,
now,
all right.
One thing that really bothered me about A1, and you all didn't mention this, but you did mention the room concerning the plant life and all that crazy crap.
Yeah.
There is no druid for the tournament characters.
True.
Which I think a druid would have fit in perfect. And the druid would fit in perfect in later modules. I don't know why they kept the druid out, because what they have here, that's plain simple. A 6th level dwarven fighter, a 5th level human fighter, 4th level ranger, 6th level cleric, 5th level thief, 5th level magic user, a 5th level illusionist, a 3rd level cleric, 3rd level fighter, a multi-class, and a multi-class 4th level fighter, 4th level MU. No druid, which is very unusual.
Huh. Well,
I just didn't understand that. But like I said, it all depends on how they wanted it. But they did what they did. But I think a druid would have been perfect in this game. So that covers most of the tournament and everything. It has its flaws. We discussed some of the flaws. We discussed the tournament characters. I mean, you all covered the other stuff and everything. Big difference between the scoring system. Like I said, I wish I could find the Gen Con open scoring sheet. They did not add this to this module. They just added something they made up, I think. I don't know why, but it's kind of funny. Now, just to give it, I said room 3. Can you tell me what was in room 3 real quick, like? I can't find my room 3.
Room 3 was on the top level. That is... There's the...
Oh, it's the collapsed guard room.
Yeah.
So it's on page 5. So what do we have in it? We have ghouls, 8 ghouls. So that is part of the tournament module, I believe, too. Yes, it is. And room 3, it's -4 for sending one character in alone. Why would you move a character in there alone? I don't understand that. -4 for attempting to use a sleep spell.
It's fine. Just...
Maybe it was because they were one at a time in case someone's trying to sneak in or something like that.
Well, I thought that too, but look at this. +4 for attempting to turn undead.
Wow.
So the scoring system's kind of weird and everything. The scoring adjustments are weird. I wish I had the original Gen Con sheet to look at it so we know how they scored it. We made a lot of things a lot more clear. I just had some issues with these scoring adjustments. Overall, like I said, it was a tournament broken into sessions. I think it had a great setup and everything. I don't think that this series of modules should have been a tournament module as a whole, if you get my drift.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would have been great if it made it just one module as a tournament, vice 4 modules. I mean, that's a lot of sessions. And the sessions must have been short because our sessions, when we ran this as a tournament module, was only 2.5 hours. No, was it 2 hours or 3? It was 3 hours.
Yeah, I was going to say, this seems like, how did they get these modules done so fast in a tournament setting?
It was 2 hours. I know right now that each session was 2 hours each. I just remember that now. It was 2 hours each.
Well, with the reduced time and the reduced tournament, I don't see how they can get this done that quickly. Whoever was running these tournaments had been really pushing players. Let's go. That's what I can think
the tournament cannot do that. They cannot push the players. The moment a tournament starts, there is no edging on from the DM. The DM just sits back and just continues on and that's why it's always important. It's a good thing you brought up that on tournament modules. If you're on a tournament, one person should be designated a caller and make decisions right there and then. In a tournament, you don't have time to mess around and go through 500 options on trying to open an unlocked door. I mean, good Lord. Turn the knob.
Jeez, well, okay.
I'm one tournament module we played in. The guys did 3 hours in a town trying to buy 500 goats and trying to take 500 goats into a dungeon.
Why?
Because the goats are going to set off the traps in the dungeon. That's why.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but so y'all know what the whole deal is. Y'all know the whole deal and everything. But like I said, tournament modules, campaign modules, this is better run as a campaign module. You get the whole taste of it. Get ready because people will die.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
So with that said, and the module, you can pick it up on Amazon if you want. A1, Slave Pits of the Undercity, is going used $17, which is pretty decent, I think. Not bad.
Probably find it on eBay too.
Maybe I haven't looked on eBay. I usually go to Amazon first just to buy because I can't stand bidding and things like that. So, but outrageously, it's $475 brand new.
Yikes!
So yeah, I don't think so.
Sorry, again?
$475 brand new.
Sure, that's not pesos.
No, I like the fact that it's $475.96.
A1?
Yes, I've no idea where they got that randomness from.
Oh no, that's insanity. Only a fool would spend that kind of money.
Well, yeah, I can see the $17. There's 12 of them used. $17.
I know one fool who would spend that much money.
Yeah. eBay, I don't know. I haven't looked, but we don't have time to really fool around about that. So,
right.
Unless, Nick, you want to look it up while we're talking the next segment, you can go ahead and do that. Anyway, let's head into the Creature Feature Theater next.
Are you saying that I put an abnormal brain into a 7.5-foot long gorilla?
Creature Feature Theater.
For the Creature Feature this week, we're going to talk about the Aspis. Am I saying that right, guys? No joke.
I think so. Aspis, yeah.
Yeah, no joke about that. I wasn't sure when I was reading that. I was like, is it Aspis or Aspis? Or I don't know. Anyway, this creature is pretty much comes in 3 different versions. There is the cow, the larva, and the drone. The cow version of this is pretty much the mother of there. Just think of the queen of a hive or a queen ant or something. These creatures will pretty much leave people alone unless they need to do something or unless they're confronted somewhat. The cow is pretty much will stay in the lair and just leave the little larva eggs, which are the little babies. And which surprisingly, the larvae have a pretty good armor class for little baby squishies. They have a better armor class than most magic users at first level. They have an armor class of 6. And they move really slowly. They have a hit dice of 2 to 5. Percent in the layer is always 90%. They're immune to acid, which is kind of interesting. And depending on the hit dice, the experience is between 2 to 5 as usual. But I'll point out the cow. It's very rare. There's only going to be one because obviously it's the queen of the hive. And the hit dice listed as 10. But the thing about it is the cow is not really going to attack. Its damage is 3 to 8, so it's going to leave you alone. And chances are this, according to what is the asp... No, I don't think the asp cows can speak. The drones are the ones I think that do speak. Do you guys see anything about the... No.
Yeah, the drones are the ones, they have their own kind of language.
Yeah.
That they have, but 5% are able to speak common.
Right. And, yeah, so the cow pretty much, and the drones will pretty much be the worker ants, the drone ants, obviously, that protect everything. And there's at one point in the module when you're in the slave pits and you're fighting over the slave pits with one of these creatures.
Yeah, that's such a cool scene.
Yeah, you notice the naked woman in the bottom lower left-hand corner there, too?
Of course I did.
Yeah, of course. So there's a 5% chance that they will be able to speak common, and they'll probably tell you to go to heck, and I'm going to kill you, get away from my queen. And they're really just protecting their own. So
yes.
They're not really out
all for the hive. We are the hive.
Right. They're like the Borg kind of thing going on. Their diet mostly consists of, I love vegetation, meat, and they like to drink blood. That's their preferred drink. The drones are probably the most fierce out of the whole bunch, doing the, was it 1 to 4, 1 to 4 by weapon type. They are immune to, I think it was, electrical and cold attacks, and only take half damage from fire-based attacks.
Mm-hmm. I like the the drones, they can have 2 attacks with weapon type, so give a couple of those guys some long swords or battle axes, look out.
Yeah, they actually stand up.
Yeah.
Just imagine this like slug-like creature standing up, and then they use their little tentacle hands to like attack. It's like, ah! But the picture, I guess, is drawn by Jeff D, because there's a big D there. It means D, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that cover.
Yeah.
I love that cover. It's dual wielding shields, and it looks like maybe long swords. I totally dig that. I'm like,
the picture of the cow, as he calls it, it looks like a alien spaceship, to be honest.
It looks like Randy lay there like a slug, his only defense.
Yeah. I don't know. It just reminds me of a spaceship, like an alien spaceship landing on a planet. It's just kind of weird. Anyway, the XP value of this creature, if I'm looking at this correctly, is 1,350. So
yeah, for the cow, yes.
Which is pretty good. Mm-hmm. And none of them have treasure except the drone, and that's listed as F. And I guess I don't have it in front of me, but F is probably going to be whatever they have on them at the time.
I think so.
Usually, I don't know. I'm not one of those nerds that memorize the charts and everything like that. I apologize for saying nerds, but because I don't have time to memorize that stuff.
Well, let me look up in my monster manual here. Treasure type F. Actually, it's a lair treasure.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Huh.
Yeah. That's got to be a typo then.
Yeah, well, they're only 30% in the lair, so.
Yeah, this has got to be their lair treasure, because according to the monster manual, treasure type F.
Yeah.
Won the 20,000 silver. Yeah, won the 12,000 electrum. Won the 10,000 gold. Won the 8,000 platinum. 3 to 30 gems. 1 to 10 jewels. Any 3 magic items except sword or miscellaneous weapons, plus 1 potion and 1 scroll.
Well, okay.
It's almost as good as treasure type H.
They have a backpack on them with all this stuff in it. Yeah, they all carry this around all the time. Anyway, I'm one of the people that actually don't memorize these monsters, and we were like, oh, how come you don't know the monster? You've been playing for 20-something years. You can't figure out what the monster is? No, because I don't care. I like to just play, that's all. Yeah, it's true that after a while you get to, you realize what monsters are, what their hit dice are, you remember it, but sometimes you just don't care. Who cares? Anyway.
I care.
Oh, okay, Nick, thank you.
I care. So it just depends on your DM style.
Yeah.
It pretty much is.
So different ways. You could probably import this creature into any adventure you want. And in fact, I could see an adventure you could take this creature and say, okay, the town's crops have been diminishing lately, and there's been a lot of like rumblings in the ground, kind of like a Tremors type thing going on with this. You could say that these creatures are basically feasting off the crops, using it as a food supply, and then you can send a bunch of adventurers into the hole in the ground, and they have
lifted that from Baldur's Gate with the carrion crawlers.
Shh. No, I didn't. And I'm telling you, it's from Tremors. Anyway, I'm putting Kevin Bacon's life on it. Anyway, and that other dude that was in the rest of them, Michael Gross.
Oh, God.
Anyway, yeah, I would send the characters in there, and they'd clear the tunnels out. Maybe even since some of the drones could speak, possibly negotiate a way to get them out of there. I don't know, depending on how your party works.
You know me, like what I like to do. I like to have creatures work in conjunction with each other. Like I said, I loved how this module incorporated the Aspis with the giant ants.
Yes.
I thought that was a really cool way to do that. You could almost take that whole thing that you were talking about one step further. You could have those giant ants, maybe some other kind of bugs, maybe some giant centipedes down there. Maybe there's like an uneasy. Maybe there's kind of a war between the Aspis and maybe some intelligent giant spiders.
Ooh.
And
trying to take over the world.
Yeah. Or I'm just trying to think of other creepy crawly bugs that you can kind of incorporate with a whole kind of, mini campaign with these, spiders, giant centipedes, giant praying mantises.
Maybe there would be an evil cleric with a bladed weapon down there in charge.
Or put a real twist on it. Oh, haha, I just got that. R.
He just
maybe
caught
put
it.
a real twist on it. Maybe it's a druid.
Yeah.
Think about it. Maybe the whole thing behind it is a druid, and he's just ticked off at the whole world. And he's using all these giant insects and creatures.
I must interject one thing also as well.
Go ahead.
You will not find the Aspis, for some reason, is also protected IP monster that is not found in D20 or Paizo.
It is, really?
It's a protected
Yes.
creature, really?
I had no idea.
I wonder why.
I have no idea. Who created the Aspis now? Is this creature in any of the monster manuals? Because I do not recall
Yes,
it being in the Fiendful monster manual too. It has to be.
Too, I believe.
Can you tell me who created the monster?
Had to have been the creator of the adventure, David Cook.
Interesting.
So it's under their IP, huh?
Yep, because you cannot use this creature because what I have to do is I have to replace the Aspis with another creature from D20, which is actually going to be the Formians, which are actually the more intelligent ant-like creatures.
Yeah, okay.
I'm using them to replace the Aspis. So
The centaur ant-men kind of thing. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Interesting.
Okay. Anyway, there's the module and the creatures, and let's head into our last segment of the night, the treasure chest.
You have opened the treasure chest. You may choose an item.
Okay, so in the treasure chest this week, we're going to pull out something random just to talk about it. Let me reach into this treasure chest. Oh, we got a scroll here, Nick. Oh, scroll of invisibility. Look at that.
Wing.
Yeah.
Oh, you cannot see me.
Oh,
Aha.
Nick, where'd you go? I could hear you.
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Yeah. So anyway, this spell causes the recipient to vanish from sight and not be detectable by any normal vision or infravision. Of course, the invisible creature is not magically silent, so they could still speak. With respect to noise is normal to it. The spell remains in effect pretty much in ever, or until it's dispelled, or the magic user or the other recipient cancels it, or he or she attacks a creature. So basically, if you're invisible, you can walk, you can talk, you can have dinner, you can go upstairs, you can pretty much do whatever you want as long as you don't attack. But once you attack, you become visible.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
This is broken.
Yeah.
That means you can cast that on a thief. Climb walls, hide in shadows. Don't even have to worry about that.
That's the loophole, kind of this, what you wonder. Now, would you consider a pickpocket an attack type thing?
No.
No?
No. I would not consider a pickpocket attack because you're not physically harming that person. The only thing you're hurting is their income.
No, I totally disagree.
Yeah, see,
I consider a pickpocket an attack because you are rolling against him.
Right. This is where the big debate.
But it's not to hit.
This is where
no.
I see. Hold on a second, guys. This is where the big debate comes in with this spell. There is that loophole in there that you could say, Nick's point of view, he's not harming somebody, but on Will's side, he is affecting another person or another character or another
in a negative
monster.
fashion.
Yes, which could be considered a form of attack in a sense because you're affecting the well-being of that person in a certain way. So there's either side to the coin on this one.
There's only one side of the coin. It's mine.
Yeah, we don't care. Anyway.
I could see it. You come up with a very good, well thought out argument, and you're completely and utterly wrong.
Ooh.
Let me think of a mistake.
I'm just kidding. I'm poking the bear. You could take either way on it.
Actually, Nick, you're supposed to change your mind and side with me at this point, remember?
Okay, I agree with you then.
Okay.
That's funny.
No, and so you could do whatever you want. You're the DM. If you want to say that pickpocketing or doing something to affect another person or another thing would break the spell, then let it. I say, sure, why not? Or you can say the thief runs around and pickpockets everybody and nothing happens.
It's offensive.
Yeah, that's the word. It's an offensive move, so...
You're offensive.
Yeah, it's an offensive act. Not in the fact that someone, lets off a fart. That's offensive. But it's offensive as he's making an action against someone, which is kind of, I don't care what it says.
Okay.
Use that, you break the invisibility spell.
So if the thief spit at somebody, that would break the spell, according to you, Will?
If a person is invisible, if a magic user is invisible, or a thief's invisible, and he spits at someone, yes, that is an offensive act, and that's both offensive. That means he'll become visible because he's attacking someone trying to hit him with his nasty, vile spit.
And the material for the spell component for the spell is an eyelash and a bit of gum, Arabic gum, or is that Arabic? How do you say that one?
Arabic.
Yeah, Arabic gum.
Arabic.
Arabic?
Yeah. The former enclosed in the latter. Was that latter? I'm reading it wrong. Sorry.
Later.
You missed later, dude.
Later with 2 T's? Okay.
Latter.
It's latter. That's what I thought.
Latter. Yes.
Thomas the Train. No. What was that thing you were doing the last time, Nick? The Human Torch.
The Human Torch could not get a bank loan. The Human Torch could not secure a bank loan. It was from Anchorman when he was before they were doing their broadcast. He was doing pronunciation exercises. And whatever he did was the Human Torch could not get a bank loan.
FYI, if you go on eBay right now, you can get the Slave Pits Undercity for $9.99. Buy it now.
Yep.
There's
We're
a couple
around $9-10.
Yeah, there's a couple bids now. $2 right now, but yeah, $9 buy it now. I see someone selling it for $20, $11, $10. Mm-hmm.
So that's actually pretty decent prices right there.
However,
in
the coming months, we got the reprint of this Area of the Slave Lords.
Yeah.
Aha!
Which I assume will drop the price of this anyway. So
now, when they're reprinting this, they're reprinting it as the compilation that they did.
Yeah, they're doing the compilation A through.
Okay,
but there's is this the one that had the curious A0 on it or something? Or was it S0?
Yes, the new one has this. Yes. I guess like we were talking about. A adventure hook to tie the whole thing in, basically A0. That's what it is.
Oh, now, okay, that's what they're doing. Okay.
The reason why I asked about which one it was is that means the levels are going to be different.
Yeah.
So because the original separate modules are levels 4 through 7, I think the compilation they bumped it up to like 7 to 11.
Oh, really?
Yes, the compilation of the adventures are different. Why? It's so they wanted to tie it in to where when they did all the super modules in the late 80s, when they were doing all those reprints, what they wanted to do is they wanted you to get Temple of Elemental Evil, you followed on with Slave Lords, and then you went on to Queen of Spiders.
Ah, okay.
So, in fact, I can grab my copy of Scourge of the Slave Lords right here, and it is from level 7 to 11.
All right, cool.
So, that's just so everybody know, the one that's the reprint, that's the Scourge of the Slave Lords, where the levels are considerably different than the separate printed modules.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they bumped up the monsters and how severe they are and all that.
And
so,
okay.
So there you go.
There's A1. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you go out and pick it up and run it for your group. And if you do, definitely write us or go to the forums at orsargaming.org. Write us, rfistaff@gmail.com, or you can give us a voicemail, 570-865-4210, the hotline. And I think that's going to wrap it up this week, guys. End the show.
I think it will.
Little over.
The Human Torch could not secure a bank loan.
Coming in at about another 2-hour show again. I think that's going to wrap it up for this week.
Okay.
Keep it original, keep it old school. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
God, Will.
roll for initiative.